Setting up and maintaining a development environment can be challenging for every developer, every organization, every team. The main reason is that there's so many different things that goes into a development environment. That is Python, that is Node, that is different version of dependencies, that is environment variables, that is security, especially in the DBT world. Where do you put the profiles.yaml? How do you configure it? What if there was a way that you could just one place write a script or a series of scripts that would install development environments, install the right dependencies, install the right versions of Python or of Node, and have this installed for all your developers? Well, there is, and that is called Devcontainers and GitHub Codespaces. So we will start by looking at Devcontainers, and then we will go over to the hosted version called GitHub Codespaces. What is a dev container? Dev container is practically just a script that will install a Docker container, and then you use VS Code to connect to that dev container. So right now we will start by setting up the dev container, then we will set up the Codespaces, and then I'll go over the script. For the dev container, you need two things. You need to have the repository on your local machine. Then you need to have Docker Desktop on your computer. You can just Google Docker Desktop and install it. Then the only thing you need to do is take this file, add your Snowflake account, username, password, and then rename it to .env. That's all. And then we go rebuild without cache and reopen in container. So I'll click this one and then I'll speed up the footage because this will take a minute or two. Good. Now that it's installed, the first thing we need to do is to refresh the environment. You can see this is here. Command-Shift-P, reload window. To make sure that everything is working, we can go to the Starlight repository and then DBT debug. And of course, we have multi-factor authentication to make sure that it is actually us and everything is working. We can even do DBT run. And the reason it's failing is that we need to do DBT first. Then we can do DBT run. Good. So now that we set up dev containers, we will go to GitHub Codespaces, where dev containers is a literally container that is installed on your own computer. Then GitHub Codespaces is a container that is installed on GitHub or technically on Azure, since Microsoft's own GitHub and Azure. Generally, I recommend GitHub Codespaces. The reason is that it can be a little different with dev containers, because you need to have the dev container, you need to have the container, the Docker container run on your machine. And some machines, some computers can have small differences that makes it a little more challenging. With Codespaces, it's literally just a few clicks and you have a full computer setup. So before we start, I'll show you what you need to do when you set things up. So the first thing is you will have access to the template. You can click use this template to create a new repository. You will choose the owner and write the name of the repository. Go to settings on your repository. Go to secrets and variables. Go to Codespaces. And then add these 3 secrets for your Codespace, just as you did in the development container. When that is done, these will be picked up by the container and you'll be good to go. So how do you start it? The way I usually do is I create a new branch for myself. Let's say I want to work on some feature. Create a new branch. Then I go here, click on the 3 dots, new with options. So here you'll start by choosing the one that's closest to you, or if you have reason that you have to be in the EU or US or something like that, choose that. Then the branch, I will choose the branch that I have. Then you can choose the machine type. 2 cores is usually just enough. I will choose 4 cores right now because that installs a little faster. But I will create code space and then I'll speed up the videos while we wait. Good. Now everything is set up, and just like with the dev containers, we need to refresh. But since this is in a browser, we can just click reload. Now we have everything installed. As you can see, the VS Code is running in a browser. You can also just click here and open in VS Code Desktop if you like to use the desktop version. But for now, we'll just use the version in the browser. You can see we can run the DBT debug again. We have the multi-factor authentication and everything is working. We can do the DBT run. And you can see it's working. So now you have a development environment. Everything is set up for you. You don't have to think about it. The only thing you need to do is to add these 3 secrets for your GitHub Codespaces. And now we'll go over the code that sets everything up. It is in the .devcontainer file. The most important file we will hit is devcontainer.json. We are telling the dev container to start with use the Python version. The Python container should be the base of everything. Then we will add these features. Then we will add these extensions. You can see we've had the extensions out here. So SQL Fluff, Markdown Lint, and DBT Power User. Then we are going to run this post create script. And this is here. So what this does is that this one runs all these scripts in order. The first thing we will do is clean up and updating the Ubuntu environment. Then we will install the pip requirements. As you can see from the requirement file, this is a very nice feature that everything is installed every time, because when a change in SQL Fluff or YAML Lint or DBT is changed, all your developers will have this. This is a very nice feature. Then the copy of the DBT profile. So the DBT profile is profiles.yaml is in this folder. So you can see we have development. It takes account, user, and password. It does the same for production. And for the GitHub, this is when you are going to use GitHub Actions. It will take these information. Then you can see here, it is copying to the correct folder. Then it will load the environment variables. This is only something it does on the dev container. So it takes the .env and then loads it to the environment. Then it installs the DBT deps. So you also can ensure that all your developers have the same DBT packages, and then it just shows a final message. This is how to set up the development environment using dev containers and Codespaces. It's something I personally have been using for multiple years in practically all the projects that I'm using. You will have different templates for when you're doing web development, when you're doing data development, when you're doing machine learning. So you can just set everything up and then it'll just be installed. Have a nice day.